Hello guys, tonight I am going to tell you some spooky stories. The first one is a short story and it's not real. So here it is. My mom always told me that if I looked at the moon I would see a man in it. So one night I decided to look up at the moon, but then I realized that the man in the moon was right outside my window. Alright, so this next story, I have to say, is true. Yes, true. So, it might scare you, might not, but here I go. So, I was in my bedroom, I was sleeping, I was having a great dream. Then all of a sudden, I heard a weird buzzing sound that awoke me from my sleep. I walked over to my fan in my room and I turned it off, thinking it was my fan. The sound continued a little bit after, but it then stopped. If you guys have a cat, you know that they sometimes put their faces against doors to crack them open to trying to get in. That happened in my door. I walked over to it and I opened it. What I thought was my cat sitting on the ground facing away from me, it curled up its tail up to its body before it turned its head a little bit. I could clearly make out the shape of the cat. I then turned back in my room, but getting bored after a while, sitting there with the door open and waiting for it to come in. I then laid back down and tried to go back to sleep. The door cracked open again. I opened the door and I reached down trying to let my cat know I was there. But then I realized the cat was no longer there. What I put my hand on was an old backpack, and the tail of what I thought was the tail did not even go near the backpack enough for it to look like it was connected, and it had a metal rod in it, so it could not bend the way it did. So what did I see? I quickly ran in my room, shut the door, and barricaded it, and I sat in there the rest of the night, hoping whatever it was would go away. I heard pittering and pattering up and down the stairs for the rest of the night. The scariest thing was my cat was locked in the cellar all night. So what was it I heard? Alright, so this next story is also true. It's another waking up in the middle of the night thing. So here I go. I woke up at the middle of the night and I thought my dad was walking in my room to check me. It's very few light. But he didn't seem to say anything. He just slowly walked into my room, and then he looked at me. I kept saying his name. I got really scared when he didn't give a response. I kept saying his name more and more, but he still didn't give a response. I was really terrified at this point, and and it quickly turned to the wall. I just yawned. I then looked back out, and he wasn't there anymore. I then got up and walked around to see if he really wasn't there anymore. He wasn't. I then ran to my dad's room and made sure he was there. He was, and I was so scared. He comforted me, but I will never forget what happened that night. I was once playing in my room, and I decided to take a nap. I was recently playing with some of my toys. One was magnetic, the others had a little peg in them that you could stick things to. I went to sleep. When I woke up, the toys were gone. I asked my siblings and my father and my mother if they had seen it. They said no, last they saw it was in my room with me playing with it. I then decided to go outside and play out there. I was looking around when all of a sudden I heard screaming in the far distance. I decided to hop on my bike and ride to where it was. I looked around and then I saw red drenched in the grass. I then looked around to see what was my toys. I got a sudden chill up my spine. But how did they get here? I asked. I looked around to see if anyone was around. I then saw that they were all dissembled. The ones with the pegs had been stabbed straight through the peg, with their heads coming off. And the magnetic one was just completely torn apart. I gasped as I ran. I heard feet in the grass moving behind me. I then got out of the marsh where I found the stuff. I turned and saw no one was behind me. I then turned around to go back home, and there he was. Then it was black. It was all black. Who was the man? I don't know. But I will never know to this day. Alright, now here's an AJ horror story that I hope you guys enjoy. I was walking around Jama. There wasn't many people, so I decided to go to a different world. As I was going to switch worlds, I saw a world I had never seen before. It was called Dracomon. What's that? I asked. So I decided to go. For some reason, the world was black and white. I wondered if it was just a loading glitch and that the colors would come on soon. There wasn't many people, but I felt as if that was normal due to it never being seen before. I walked around and then I found somebody. "Hello," she said. "Won't you stay with us?" I was kind of creeped out at this, but it was Halloween, so I just played along. I said, no, not right now. I'm busy. Do you know if anybody else is here?" And she said, "Oh, yes. But won't you stay with us and never leave?" I got really creeped out at how she was talking, so I walked away. But then all of a sudden, she was on the other side of the map. I never saw her walk over there. How did she get there so quickly? She said, "You're not allowed to leave." I was really creeped out. I decided to go to my den, but my den button wasn't there. I decided to switch worlds then because I was just so scared. But the settings button wasn't there. Nor was the log out, or the exit out of page, or anything. My whole screen was full of Animal Jam, and this weird girl saying you're not allowed to leave. Then 2 wolves came. I went to a cutscene. My wolf was being grabbed and dragged away into the darkness as it screamed for help. Then suddenly I was in a dark room. I was with a bunch of other wolves and bunnies and other animals that I can't even name due to how disordered they looked. I was so scared, and then I realized I was chained to the ground so tightly I could barely move my paws. I screamed, "What do you want from me?" They said, "Do you want my rares? Do you want my account? My membership? What?" They said, "Oh no, we don't want any of that. We just want you to suffer." I asked them, "What?" But then all of a sudden I felt a sharp pain stab through my stomach. And this wasn't just an Animal Jam that I saw. I actually felt it in real life. They then said, "That's only the beginning. I checked downstairs for you." I ran away from my computer. My family was gone, blood drenched on the bed coming off of it. And my siblings were nowhere to be seen. The only thing I found were holes in the bottom bunk bed that one had, and I saw one of their bodies outside on the floor, crushed like it had been thrown into the air or something, and then was slammed down. I quickly ran back to the computer. Then I noticed that my animal's limbs were cut off. I then felt sharp pains in my hands and my legs. And then they said, "Become one of us, and we will do no more." I wept for mercy. They then cut off my snout. They said again, "Become one of us, and we will hurt you no more." Then I eyes filled with tears. I said, "Fine." As I was starting to become one of them, a lynx with purple wings descended from the sky. All of a sudden, all the wolves and animals were pushed back. The lynx turned me back to normal. He said, "What are you doing?" I said, "I don't know. I was just brought here." He then turned all the animals back to normal. They all sound confused. we were suddenly loaded in Jama Township. Then all of a sudden, something weird happened. I noticed that we couldn't go to any other world. Like, there was no way to get to any other area in the map or the world. I still was stuck here. I asked Lynx what was going on. And then I noticed half of the animals weren't here. And I also asked where all the others were. He said, gone, and never be back again. I asked, what? Then all of a sudden I just noticed black coming towards me in the middle of Jama Township. The lynx had wings, so he could fly, but I had nothing. All my items, except for the ones I was wearing, were gone. He said, oh, you said yes to them. You're going to become corrupted. I can't let you join me. I said, what? Why? I never got fully turned into one of those things. He said, too bad. I'm not helping you. But then he got up. But why? As the world got darker, I said, what will happen when it's all gone? And he said, why don't you ask that poor fellow? The bunny from earlier was drifting into the black light as she said faintly, help me. All of a sudden her skin started to melt and her body was torn apart. It was slowly and painfully as I watched, and I could see in horror that it must have hurt. I said, please help me. As the Jama Township got so thin, he said, sorry, as he lifted from the ground. I'm going to keep my pet here to watch you. He then gave me a little panda with wings. He then flew away. The panda sat and watched me, making sure I didn't do anything to escape. I started weeping, and that I was so sad. I was going to die in here and in real life. The panda then said, I can help you. I asked, what? He said, I can help you. Then all of a sudden the panda grabbed me as he pushed me into the void, but he was still with me. I said, no, what are you doing? And then I didn't fall apart. I didn't melt. I was just falling. Then all of a sudden I landed in my den. Then the panda got up and said, now, you must listen to me. You must listen to me carefully, or they will find you, and they will kill you more painfully than that void could. I agreed to listen. He said, you must change your animal. You must recycle this animal. You must change it if you do want to make it again. You must change your animal's name. You must change your animal's look. And you must never put show username on. You must follow these rules. I also said, what will happen to you? The panda then said, they will kill me for disobeying a rule. But I don't know what else I could do. Then I went to adopt a pet. I had 3 diamonds at the time, and the panda pet was 3 diamonds. I made a panda that looked exactly like him. He then all of a sudden disappeared and became next to me. What? He asked. Are you sparing me? I said yes. I noticed that the panda's eyes started to fill with tears. I then remembered all the screams and all the stuff that I saw earlier. I went into Jama Township. I went and I sat. I didn't ask anybody for a while. Then I went to one of my buddies. She told me, wait, what? You sounds like you're exactly explaining the dark servers. I said, the what? The dark servers. I've only heard them in myths and tales, but I never actually thought they were real. I gasped as I fell back. I then got back up onto my computer and said, wait, you've heard of these before? Yes, but how did you escape without the panda? The panda? Then I remembered the panda pet. You mean a panda pet? No, I mean an actual panda. I'm so confused. Never again did I go back on Jama Township due to I was afraid that same thing was happen again, and never again did